Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa. The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
Bringing you the best Nairobi region has to offer. This is the Great Debaters Contest, and I am Austin Nyambok.
And I'm Mariam Bishar. Today we have new entrants Highway Secondary going versus Veterans Light Academy on whether poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. First proposer, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Zansen Bada, and I'd like to propose this motion that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. First of all, what does the word poverty eradication mean? It's the effort taken by an individual, government, or a nation to get rid of poverty. Without wasting more time, let's all come to an agreement that poverty is a core factor for undeveloped nations, and eradicating it will lead to the development of those nations. Poverty is like the pull of gravity. It pulls down development whenever it tries to grow. Why do I have to say this? Poverty has so many problems. First of all, migration. People move from rural to urban migration. What do you expect from a person from a rural area comes to urban migration? Do you think this area will be overpopulation and it will lead to the growth of slums? Secondly, education. Most poverty people who live in poverty are unable to attend school in the early age. And without the ability to attend school, it leads to life illiterate. Low illiteracy it affects the society in many ways. First is labor force. We all know that labor force right now needs people who are educated. So let's say a person who has not been educated, how do you think when he comes here, he'll find a job? So it will lead to decreased labor forces. Thirdly, infrastructure. The government uses most of the resources to cater for the poor. But imagine if the government used that resources to improve the infrastructure, such as roads, schools, and hospitals. Eradicating poverty is hard, but who said hard is impossible? Most of the developed countries, their rate of poverty is less than 5% of their population. So it means they got their development through this low rate of poverty. When poverty is eradicated, it will be the first step to a sustainable development. Since there is cases like corruption, tribalism, that they are not yet dealt with, but it will make an enormous difference and change. And it will provide a limelight to solving the other forthcoming issues like tribalism and corruption. So I'm asking my fellow opposers to join us in proposing this motion so that we can lead this nation to a better life. Thank you.
Light Academy, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Trying to eradicate poverty, ladies and gentlemen, is like chasing a butterfly. The more you chase it directly, the more it eludes you. But concentrate on another thing, sustainable development in this instance, and the butterfly comes and rests peacefully on your shoulder. From Light Academy, I'm Melchizedek Asuma to oppose the motion that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. What is poverty eradication? Poverty eradication is to destroy or to get rid of poverty completely. That is to bring the poverty levels in the world to zero. An indispensable requirement is a necessary action that must be undertaken for another to be achieved and cannot be foregone. Sustainable development, ladies and gentlemen, is development that meets the needs of the present generations without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. How about some facts and figures to start us off, ladies and gentlemen? 1.2 billion people in the world live in abject poverty according to the World Bank. According to the International Monetary Fund, poverty levels in the United States of America stands at 10% of their population, in Netherlands stands at 14% of their population, and in France at 9% of their population. Coming closer home, in Africa, 400 million people out of 1.2 1.2 billion people still live in poverty, according to the United Nations Development Program. Ladies and gentlemen, in the year 2000, the United Nations set 8 Millennium Development Goals. Topping this list was poverty eradication, and the deadline for which these goals were to be achieved was 2015. By 2015, it had not been achieved. It was not even nearly achieved. Poverty was not nearly eradicated. So this prompted them to sit down again, and they set other goals, 15 sustainable development goals. Top of this list again, we see poverty eradication. Deadline 2030, 15 more years. We failed to do it in the past 15 years. What makes us think that we are going to do it in the coming 15 years, ladies and gentlemen? Poverty eradication is a fantasy. It is wishful thinking. It will never happen. We can never lift 1.2 billion people in the world from poverty. And furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, poverty eradication is the fruit of sustainable development and not the seeds of sustainable development, as our rivals are trying to tell us. Once we develop, ladies and gentlemen, sustainable development at that, we create jobs, we improve social facilities, social amenities, we improve the purchasing power of citizens in the world, of citizens in Kenya, thus lifting people from poverty. Trying to eradicate poverty to come first before sustainable development will be comparable to putting the cart before the ox. And ladies and gentlemen, it never works. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, requirements of sustainable development include promoting good governance, fighting corruption, and having energy and resource efficiency and sufficiency. Poverty eradication is not on this list. Thank you.
We'll hear rebuttals now. Highway, you may begin. You have 3 minutes.
Greetings to you all. My name is Kevin Kiriyama. Now, my debater said that eradicating poverty is like chasing a butterfly. Yes, you will chase the butterfly, but at the end of it, you will catch it. And when you catch the butterfly, you will have the feeling of pride in you that I have done something right. Now, poverty. Poverty brings crime. This crime is brought in by, if I don't have what somebody has, I'll come up with sneaky ways or cheeky ways to be able to get it. These ways are such as thuggery and theft. So if I don't have what you have, it's either I come and steal it from you or I take it when you aren't there. So the government is spending a lot of money employing officers every year to stop crime, and this crime is brought upon by poverty. I have to feel confident walking around in Kenya. This is my motherland. This is where I belong. So if I cannot walk around being me, what I mean is if I cannot walk around areas in Kenya confidently, I have to maybe hide my phone or something. Then how is that my motherland? I need to be confident. I need to own this country. And how will you do that? We'll do that by eradicating poverty. Now, to my second point, malnutrition. To some people all over the world, quality food is a luxury. Actually, 25% of sub-Saharan Africa is considered malnourished. This research was done by the UN. If my parents don't have enough money to put across a balanced diet for me, I'll maybe start getting infected with some deficient diseases, and this will not promote development in any way. To my third point, I'd like to talk about discipline. You see, if poverty teaches us to know what we are supposed to stick with what you have. So if you stick with what you have, you will not try to harm other people. And for us to move on, we need to eradicate poverty. And we can do that by the simplest way, by starting out at home. If I'm having visitors over, I'll try to hide the bad sections of my house so that they come and they'll get the best first impression. When people come to Kenya, they go to luxurious places like the coast, like the national parks. This is why is this? These people don't go to the slums. Why? Because they want to see the best part of us, want to give them the best of us. And for us to grow on as a country and as one, we need to eradicate poverty. This is a virus that we have to stop. Thank you.
Light Academy, you have 3 minutes to cross-examine your opponents.
Let's first get rid of the introductions. I'm Nasruddin Abirashid from Light Academy. And now to rather interesting things said by the proposing side. They keep saying, let us eradicate poverty. But none of them has told us how. How are we going to do it? They keep mentioning what poverty causes. not how we get rid of poverty. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe eradicating something means to completely get rid of it. Like smallpox, we eradicated that. But have we eradicated poverty? I believe not. And now some statistics that I would like to share with you. In 1970s, 10% of this continent was living under $1 a day. Now it is 50%, and that's according to the United Nations Development Program. Have we done anything to get rid of poverty? It seems no. It seems it keeps increasing. Then what is the solution to get rid of poverty? I will say it is sustainable development. Look at all the countries that have been able to get millions of their people out of poverty, like China. 20 years ago, China was a laughingstock. A country full of billions of people, most of them who could not even live on $1 a day. And now look at where China is. It did not get there by a miracle. It did not reduce poverty by a miracle. It went with sustainable development. It built infrastructure that could support sustainable development, and somehow 200 million people in that country are now doing well. It's sustainable development, ladies and gentlemen, that brings poverty eradication, not the other way around. Let me also give you another example of countries mentioned by the proposing team. Countries like the United States of America and countries in Europe. How did they do that? How did they do this miracle of getting rid of poverty? Sustainable development. Those are some of the best countries when it comes to good economies, good infrastructure, and their economies are doing well. That is how people are less poor there. It doesn't mean that there is nobody who's poor there. Eradicating poverty, again, is literally impossible, but you can reduce poverty. That is what I would like to bring to this motion today. And then the proposing side gave us a dare that we join them. But sir, how can I join a side which doesn't seem to be arguing for its own cause? You keep saying that we need to get rid of poverty. You do not tell us how. How are we going to do it? It's a huge question that none of them has been able to say. The first proposer, I hoped, will give us an example. The second one even ignored it more. It is a side that keeps lacking faith in what they are saying, and that is really making me doubt whether they are telling you the truth. And they keep saying that we are going to catch the butterfly. How are we catching the butterfly? How? Look across the road today. How are we catching that? As teaching time, yes, does save 9, but sustainable development does help to reduce poverty. Thank you very much.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register.
The proposers have been asked how do they plan to eradicate poverty, and the opposition have been challenged to tell us what is the key requirement for sustainable development if it is not poverty eradication. We'll have them respond. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
I don't have this. I don't have this. How am I going to go to school when some of our schools, the uniform is the key requirement for school? My name is Mark Munyao, and I'm here to strongly, and I mean strongly, propose this motion. How we are going to eradicate this poverty? The government has put across, for example, the Mata Heart Run, aimed at these people who have heart problems, aimed at raising money for these people, and it has affected almost 2,500 heart patients. Diabetes, just last year we were running for Mata Heart Run in diabetes, and it has greatly affected these people with this. There's something called the Borgen Project, started in Europe, 1871, and it was aimed at completely eradicating poverty. And I believe that it has done a great impact around the world. And now, to my points. Let me focus on the health sector, life expectancy, and child mortality. I am poor. I have no money. I go to the hospital. They don't offer me services. How am I supposed to care for my child? The mother-son bond. How am I supposed to care for my child? I'm not a doctor. I'm not learned. I'm poor. We are supposed to completely eradicate this poverty because it's a hindrance for Kenya's development. Congestion, Kibera slums, some parts of Dandora slums. And you want to tell me that there are other things that must come before poverty, and some of our youths are busy in the streets, mugging people. The slums are increasing. In the news, several reports of dirty streets, papers strewn everywhere. And you want to tell me that we cannot eradicate poverty. We can't continue with poverty. That's what you're trying to tell me. And that is not possible. We have to completely eradicate poverty. Let's take this. Poverty as a force and development as the object, right? Meaning the force, which is poverty, will pull the object, which is development, downwards. So in order for the object to go up, the force must be eradicated. That's simple physics. Atakasfanyi physics. For example, the government of Kenya has seen that what's hindering it from being a developed country is poverty, and they have embarked on a journey to eradicate it. The Kenyan government is providing access to basic social amenities like education, housing, hospital. This promotes a healthy, progressive population, which is necessity for sustainable development. I laugh at my fellow opposers? No. I would kindly ask them to come. Thank you.
Light Academy, you may respond. You have 3 minutes.
I'm Mohammed Abdullahi representing Light Academy. Call of being confused. Talk of failing to understand even one single thing they said. Tabuki Rose from Loreto Convent Msongari asked us a question. If eradicating poverty is not an indispensable requirement to sustainable development, then tell us what is. Facilitating trade, improving infrastructure, providing finances to small and medium enterprises, promoting good governance, fighting against corruption. Yes, those are what are indispensable requirements for sustainable development. Not wishful thinking, not a fantasy that will never be achieved. Poverty eradication in name. Now to them. Mata Hatran by the government. Really? Really? Mata Hatran is from Mata Hospital, not the government. And then you talk of the Mata Hatran, the diabetes walk, helping people fight against heart-related diseases and diabetes. It's a good thing, really good thing, because I feel for those people who have heart-related diseases. But unfortunately, it's giving them the fish. That is giving them the fish, not teaching them how to fish. And we want to teach them how to fish. And then poverty eradication, that we will eradicate poverty. It has worked miracles, really, yes, because to date, 1.2 billion people live in abject poverty across the globe, with the majority of those populations coming from China and India, according to the World Bank. 50% of Africans still live below the poverty line. Yes, eradicating poverty has really worked miracles. And then he talks of that we will reduce rural to urban migration by eradicating poverty. How? You haven't eradicated poverty, but you want to fight against the kid of poverty, which is rural to urban migration. You haven't dealt with the mother, but you want to deal with the baby. Interesting. How? Develop those places. Develop the rural places. There will be no rural to urban migration. They would be coming for nothing because they have it all in their places. Yes, sustainable development. And then he also talks of, let's educate our people, let's give them education. Cuba, a country that was sanctioned by the United States for close to 50 years, has close to 67% of its population being degree holders. But look at where Cuba is today.
While you purchase cars that were made in 2008, they buy cars which were made in 1970s, Peugeot 504s, things people no longer use. Yes, that is how it has worked. Thank you.
Highway will hear your closing statements. You have a minute.
Poverty is the oldest and most resistant virus that brings about devastating disease in the third world called underdevelopment. Okay? Its rate of killing cannot be compared to any disease from the genesis of mankind. This poverty that we're talking about, this disease that we're talking about, it has been there for a very long time, and it has affected the world greatly. I'm not talking about Kenya only. I'm not talking about Africa only. I'm talking about the whole world. And therefore, it must be a key, it must be an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. Kenya can't move without eradicating this poverty. This poverty is what is dragging us down. Why can't we see that? Why? 6 billion people, nearly 1.5 billion people live on less than $1 a day. What I'm trying to say is poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. Thank you.
Light will hear your closing statement. You also have a minute.
Poverty eradication is an illusion. It's a fantasy. It's wishful thinking. For the past 50 plus years this country has been independent, we've been singing and dancing to the same tune. Let's fight poverty. Unfortunately, it hasn't done that much. Well, these are countries that did not focus on poverty eradication before they got sustainable development. They focused on sustainable development to get rid of poverty. I would dare them to mention one country that has ever eradicated poverty. I'll be generous. I'll give you 1, 2, 3, 7. Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, all Scandinavian countries, Iceland, Germany, Luxembourg. Yes, they focused on sustainable development to get rid of poverty. Mention one. Just one. Thank you.
Highway Secondary, this was a learning experience. Believe you me, being first timers, there's a lot that you learn. And let this not be demotivating. You know, you don't know which team you're going to meet on stage, and you don't know how it's going to turn out. And the fact that you've just come to the Great Debaters Contest and participated and done so well, that is commendable. You know, but the problem here is content mastery. I know maybe we do not have experience, but from today, I believe at least we have learned something, and we are going to see how to go about it. Even monotony in delivery. You know, we want to see you, we want to feel you. At least take us high, take us low. Try to play about with your voice, and you'll make a good debater. Junior, I see someone who is cut out to become a greater debater, you see, but there is a lot that you still need to do as an individual in order to improve on your delivery. But believe you me, when it comes to execution of content, you have the style, you have the way, you can easily bond with the audience. Now use that to your advantage, and it can only work when you have mastered your content, because you could not answer what they were asking for. Give us one example of a country that has successfully eradicated poverty. It became a problem. But if you had a case study, you could have said that this country, for example, has managed to minimize, you know, the percentage from this percentage to this percentage, and it would have worked for you. So learn to work on your content. It would be better.
To Light Academy, you guys are seasoned. I must say that. I don't know whether you went for prayers in the morning or something. I don't know. But Melchizedek, I think this is the first time I'm seeing you on stage. But you're a very good speaker. You started off very well. It was a good start. And I love the fact that you alluded to the fact that poverty is just the fruit. Sustainable development is the seed. And from then, the rest of the team members took up that as the angle that you took, trying to tell us, listen, poverty is just a number of the bigger mother who is sustainable development. And I love that analogy that brought forth. Abdi Rashid, good cross-examination. I think you were very articulate in terms of how clear you are in terms of your submission. You brought now down the motion for people to really understand by bringing forth pointers that were very clear, and also cross-examining, which was a very wonderful role that you played. The other team, Very well, and that shows that you're listening. Mohammed, you are beaming, you can stimulate people, you are electrifying, excellent. And as Nancy has said, you are going to make a great leader. In fact, even now. So never let us down, all right?
Highway Secondary, the judges awarded you with 68%. Please give them a round of applause. Light Academy, the judges awarded you with 86%, making you the winners.
After a fiery debate, all we can say is congratulations to the two teams. We'd like to thank you, our audience, and our viewers back home for watching, and urge you to follow us on our social media platform. That's Great Debaters EA for Twitter. I have been Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Keep watching the show for more wonderful debates.
The Great Debaters Contest 2016 registration is now open. Teachers or school administrations should register on www.greatdebaterscontest.com/register. The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.